The scent of rain-soaked earth, of verdant exhalation from countless leaves, often feels like a memory rather than a present reality in the concrete canyons of global metropolises. Yet occasionally a rupture occurs. Consider the High Line in New York City on a late autumn afternoon in 2023, the air crisp with the promise of winter, yet still carrying the lingering sweetness of cultivated flora. Here, amidst the repurposed skeletal remains of an elevated railway, the city's cacophony momentarily recedes, replaced by the rustle of grasses and the distant, almost musical hum of conversation. A young woman, perhaps a tourist from Seoul or a local artist, pauses by a cluster of Aster noviangli, their purple petals of vibrant defiance against the encroaching gray of the urban skyline. She reaches out, her fingers barely brushing a dew-kissed leaf, a gesture both tentative and deeply ingrained, an unconscious act of biophilic communion. This isn't merely a park. It is a meticulously engineered intervention, a strategic reassertion of nature into the very sinews of the urban fabric. It is a living garden, yes, but one imbued with a particular kind of cultural weight, a deliberate narrative woven into its very design by landscape architects like James Corner Field Operations and planting designer Pete Adolph. This moment on the High Line, repeated in countless variations across global cities, from the gardens by the bay in Singapore to the Bosco Verticale in Milan, serves as a potent opening tableau for understanding the contemporary phenomenon of living gardens. It captures the essence of a deliberate, often highly curated, re-engagement with the natural world within an increasingly artificial human habitat. This curated nature, however, is not without its complexities. It speaks to a deep-seated human imperative, a biophilic yearning, that has been systematically suppressed by centuries of industrialization and urban expansion. The very act of creating these green havens, whether they are vertical forests or elevated linear parks, highlights a profound paradox. Our relentless march towards technological advancement and urbanization has necessitated a conscious, almost compensatory, effort to reintroduce the very elements we displaced. The woman's touch on the aster leaf is not just an aesthetic appreciation, it is a primal connection, a fleeting moment of respite from the relentless pace of modern life, and a quiet acknowledgement of nature's enduring, if increasingly managed, power. The contemporary landscape of what we might term living gardens is a vibrant, if sometimes fragmented, tapestry woven from ecological necessity, technological innovation, and a burgeoning public appetite for greener urban spaces. This isn't merely about planting trees. It's a sophisticated, multidisciplinary endeavor, increasingly led by a vanguard of architects, landscape designers, and urban planners who are redefining the very parameters of urban ecology. Consider the pioneering work of Jarkingle's group, BIG, whose urban acupuncture approach, exemplified by projects like Copenhagen's Copenhill, seamlessly integrates green roofs and public recreation into industrial infrastructure. Their vision, often characterized by a playful yet rigorous commitment to sustainability, pushes the boundaries of what a building can be, transforming inert structures into living, breathing components of the city. Another dominant force is Catherine Gustafson of Gustafson Porter plus Bowman, whose mastery of landform and water has created iconic landscapes globally, from the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fountain in London to the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. Her work consistently demonstrates how deeply considered topography and hydrology can create immersive, emotionally resonant experiences that are inherently biophilic. Gustafson's influence stems from her ability to craft monumental, yet deeply humane, spaces that prioritize the user's connection to the natural elements, often using sophisticated grading and planting strategies to achieve a sense of timelessness and belonging. Leading this charge is also a new generation of firms like Olin, under the guidance of partners such as Lucinda Sanders, whose portfolio includes resilient urban parks and campuses designed to integrate ecological function with social vibrancy. Their work on projects like the Inner Harbor in Baltimore or the Salesforce Park in San Francisco showcases a sophisticated understanding of how to manage stormwater, enhance biodiversity, and create public amenities within highly constrained urban footprints. The firm's emphasis on performance-driven design, leveraging data and ecological science, positions them at the forefront of the living garden movement, moving beyond aesthetics to measurable environmental benefits. The why behind their leadership is multifaceted. Firstly, these firms possess the scale and multidisciplinary expertise to tackle complex urban challenges, from mitigating urban heat island effects, 15, to managing stormwater runoff and enhancing biodiversity in dense environments, 6. Secondly, their track records demonstrate a capacity to deliver projects that are not only ecologically sound but also culturally resonant and economically viable, attracting significant public and private investment. Thirdly, they are adept at navigating the intricate political and regulatory landscapes of major cities, translating ambitious visions into tangible realities. Their ability to articulate the value proposition of living gardens, from improved public health outcomes to increased property values and enhanced urban resilience, has been instrumental in securing their leading positions. This isn't just about planting, it's about strategic urban intervention, transforming the Revanches city, 14, into an urban oasis, one meticulously designed landscape at a time. The construction of a living garden, far from being a simple planting exercise, represents a sophisticated synthesis of horticulture, engineering, and architectural design, demanding a meticulous approach to technique, materials, and process. It is a testament to an era where the natural world is increasingly subjected to an exacting, almost surgical, reintegration into the built environment. Consider the vertical garden systems pioneered by Patrick Blanc, whose early work, such as the Musée du Quai Branly in Paris, completed 2006, showcased a revolutionary hydroponic technique. Here, plants are rooted not in soil, but in a felt-like growing medium irrigated by a recirculating nutrient solution affixed to a rigid PVC backing. This closed-loop system minimizes water waste, a critical consideration in urban contexts, and allows for precise control over nutrient delivery, optimizing plant health and growth even in challenging vertical exposures. The material palette extends beyond the organic. Geotextiles, advanced irrigation emitters, and lightweight, high-strength alloys form the structural and circulatory backbone of these installations. For instance, the green roofs designed by companies like Green Roofs for Healthy Cities often employ multi-layered systems comprising a root barrier, a drainage layer, a filter fabric, and a specialized growing medium, all engineered to manage water flow, prevent root intrusion, and support a diverse array of plant life without compromising structural integrity. These components are selected not merely for their functional properties, but also for their durability and often their recycled content, reflecting a commitment to sustainability that permeates the entire design-build process. The process itself unfolds in distinct phases, beginning with exhaustive site analysis. This involves assessing structural load capacities, sun exposure patterns, prevailing wind conditions, and existing drainage infrastructure, often employing sophisticated modeling software. The design phase then translates these data points into a detailed plan, specifying plant species, chosen for their resilience, aesthetic contribution, and ecological benefits, along with irrigation schematics and maintenance protocols. Installation is a highly specialized endeavor, often requiring crane access for large-scale vertical gardens or extensive waterproofing for expansive green roofs. Post-installation, the living garden enters a critical maturation period, requiring intensive monitoring and adjustment of irrigation and nutrient delivery. Companies like Ambius, a global provider of interior and exterior landscaping solutions, emphasize the ongoing maintenance contracts as integral to the long-term success and vitality of these complex ecosystems, underscoring that a living garden is not a static object but a dynamic, evolving entity demanding continuous stewardship. This intricate dance between human ingenuity and natural processes exemplifies a craft that is as much about control as it is about cultivation. The genesis of the living garden, far from being a spontaneous organic development, is often traceable to the singular visions and sustained efforts of specific individuals and the institutions they represent, transforming abstract biophilic ideals into tangible, often monumental, realities. Consider the enduring legacy of Roberto Burle Marx, whose revolutionary landscape designs in Brazil throughout the 20th century fundamentally redefined public green spaces. His work, such as the rooftop garden for the Ministry of Education and Health in Rio de Janeiro, completed in 1943, was not merely decorative but a meticulously crafted ecological system, integrating native flora to create resilient, biodiverse urban oases. Burle Marx's approach, blending artistic sensibility with botanical expertise, foreshadowed contemporary discussions around urban resilience and the importance of indigenous plant palettes, directly influencing generations of landscape architects striving for integrated natural systems. In a more contemporary vein, the efforts of architects like Stefano Boeri with his Bosco Verticale, vertical forest, towers in Milan, completed in 2014, represent a direct, audacious embrace of the living garden concept at an architectural scale. Boeri's design, featuring over 20,000 trees and shrubs integrated into the building's facade, goes beyond mere green roofs, presenting a radical reimagining of high-rise living as a symbiotic relationship with nature. This project, while ambitious and undeniably impactful, also sparks critical discourse regarding the maintenance burden and the true ecological efficacy of such interventions at scale. Similarly, the High Line in New York City, masterminded by landscape architects James Corner Field Operations and Diller Scofidio plus Renfro, and championed by friends of the High Line co-founders Joshua David and Robert Hammond, transformed a derelict elevated railway into a vibrant public park, opening its first section in 2009. This project exemplifies the power of adaptive reuse and community-driven initiatives to create significant urban green infrastructure, though it too faces scrutiny over gentrification and its impact on surrounding neighborhoods. These examples, from Burle Marx's pioneering work to Boeri's vertical forests and the High Line's urban reclamation, underscore that the living garden is as much a product of individual ingenuity and institutional patronage as it is an ecological imperative, each project a testament to a specific vision of how humanity might re-engage with the natural world within the confines of the built environment. The contemporary landscape of living gardens is where the weight of historical precedent meets the agile spirit of modern innovation, forging a nuanced path forward. This is not merely a reinvention, but often a sophisticated reinterpretation of ancient wisdom through a contemporary lens. Consider the vertical garden, a hallmark of 21st century biophilic design. While often lauded as a novel solution for urban density, its conceptual roots can be traced to the Hanging Gardens of Babylon or even earlier to terraced agriculture in mountainous regions. The genius of Patrick Blanc, who pioneered the modern vertical garden system with projects like the Musée du Quai Branly in Paris, lies not in inventing the idea of plants growing on walls, but in developing the hydroculture and structural systems that allow such extensive, self-sustaining green facades to thrive in diverse urban climates. His work, beginning in the late 1980s, effectively scaled an ancient concept to meet modern architectural demands, transforming inert building envelopes into living ecosystems.